The United States men's national team drew 1-1 to Jamaica last night in Chicago in the Gold Cup opener, in what overall I thought was just a very boring and very not so pleasant performance on the eye. But with that, we're going to be going over our player ratings and takeaways from this video. But before we do, I just have a small channel announcement. Alright, so we're expanding a little bit from YouTube and moving into podcasting. Me, USMNT Takes, and USMNT News on Twitter, they're both great. Make sure to go follow both of them. We are planning to start a podcast in the upcoming week. Our first video is going to be a USMNT Gold Cup group stage recap. So we plan to drop this podcast on both Spotify and Apple, and it's just going to be a laid-back 30-minute episode once a week, just talking USMNT and what's been going on lately. And we also plan to have a few guests on the podcast throughout those months. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've wanted to do this for quite a while now. I just think podcasting is just a really great way to talk the USMNT, just make it really laid back, and I can do it once a week. So I'm really looking forward to this. I will drop the podcast link in the next video. Should be on the lookout for that. Alright, so moving into the player ratings, but before I start, I just want to say I'm doing these out of a scale from 1 to 10. So each player starts at a 6. 6 is about the most average you can be, and then 5 you're moving towards the not so great, and 7 you're moving towards better. So that's how the ranking scale is going to work. So Matt Turner, in my opinion, was the man of the match, although that is a very low bar in all fairness. I gave him an 8. I thought he was pretty good on the night, made 2 pretty good saves throughout the game. And his PK stopping in the 27th, 28th minute, in my opinion, allowed us to get that 1 point. If he doesn't make that PK save, we go down 2-0, and that game is probably out of reach, especially with this group. So props to Matt Turner, and I'm very happy for him. Alright, so on to the back line, and with all due respect, this was just very uninspiring from the 4 starters. So John Tolkien got the start, and I thought he was decent. He had a few nice entry balls, especially the first one in about minute 7 or 8, that he played to Jesus Ferrer, just kind of a nice across-field 30-yard switch, and he brought it down and played to Sonora, who missed. But he got dribbled past a few times, wasn't the greatest on the ball. I want to see DeJuan Jones moving forward, but I'm fine with John Tolkien as well. Matt Miazga gave him a 6.5 as well. He was fine, wasn't great, wasn't bad. You could also slightly put him at fault for the goal because he kind of kept a couple players on sides, but he also had 4 players he was trying to mark, so not much he can do. Was fine playing out of the back, didn't do anything stupid, so we'll give him a 6.5. Aaron Long, in my opinion, I thought this was the right move to start him. I was a little worried about Jalen Neal starting, but he was at fault for the goal, didn't mark his man, just kind of threw his hand up and gave up. You can't do this at this type of level. He was fine with the ball at his feet tonight, didn't give any dumb passes away, didn't get dribbled by, but again, I think I need to see Jalen Neal moving forward. And DeAndre Yedlin, I gave him a 4.5. I'm sorry if you disagree, but he was one of the worst players on the entire field. With all due respect, just a lot of loose touches, some poor passes. When he got in the final third, just a lot of poor crosses or touches that let him down. I thought he could have just done so much better. So not the greatest performance from DeAndre Yedlin, but I do want to see Brian Reynolds moving forward to starting this team for the rest of the Gold Cup. And moving on to the midfield, so we had a pivot of both Aiden Morris and James Sands, and Alisson Norris playing as the 10 or more of the advanced midfield. Aiden Morris, I gave him a 4, is probably one of the worst players in the entire field, with all due respect. Just a lot of poor touches, a lot of sloppy giveaways, and just didn't really look forward to play a lot most of the time. A lot of back passing just kind of killed the tempo, and he also did give away that dumb PK early on in the game, which almost put us down 2-0. James Sands was playing the pivot alongside Morris. I gave him a 6.5. He was fine. Played a few nice entry balls, was fine defensively, but just nothing too crazy to catch the eye that made you say, wow, this guy's great. Alisson Norris, I gave him a 5. Wasn't great. At times, you could see what he was trying to do. Some nice touches. You could see where he was trying to play the right pass, but a lot of poor execution, a lot of failed through balls, a few given up chances as well. He had the one early on in the game where Ferrer played him in, and if he scores that, we're probably talking about a whole different game, but that's just how soccer goes. And he also did miss one at the beginning of the second half where Yedlin played a cutback ball and it fell to him and he just completely whipped. So not the greatest performance from these 3, but I do want to see Sonora and Sands potentially later on moving forward. And Morris, we'll see if he does play later, but I was not too impressed with him. So not the greatest performance from all these midfielders. And on to the front 3, we had Jordan Morris, Jesus Ferrer, and Alex Sendejas. Morris got yanked at about the 55-minute mark. I don't know if that was injury related, but he was not very good. I gave him a 4.5. Just didn't really do much. Didn't get on the ball many times, but gave the ball away a few times. Missed that one really good chance at the end of the first half where Ferrer played him in. And it was a decent strike, but it was an even better save. I just thought he could have done a little bit better. He had a lot more time than he thought, but not the greatest performance from Jordan Morris. I did like what I saw from, say, Cade Cowell, though. Jesus Ferrer, I've been pretty critical of him in the past, but in my opinion, that was one of his better national team performances. He played the full 90, created two big chances. The one early on where he played to Nora and he missed in about the 7th or 8th minute mark. And then at the end of the first half, he played in Jordan Morris, who also could have scored as well. So he very well could have had 2 assists. And he also put in the cross that led to the late goal from Brandon Vasquez. So pretty decent performance from Jesus Ferreira. Did give the ball away a few times. I thought he could have done a little bit better, but I'll give credit where it's due for this game. Alex Ndehouse gave him a 5.5. Didn't do anything bad. He was fine. I just think a player of his caliber in that type of game, you need him on the ball more. I just thought he could have done a little bit more. Just nothing too crazy to be like, wow, this guy's great. But I do still want to see him moving forward. So those were the ratings I give the front three on the evening. And finally, on to the substitutions. So Jayden Neal came in for the second half for Aaron Long, and I was a little worried about him, but he came on and he played really well, in my opinion. Was strong defensively, a lot of good entry balls into the midfield. Still a few mistakes here and there. He's still young, but I really think he needs to be starting for the rest of the tournament. I was that impressed with him. Cade Cowell came in for Jordan Morris for about 35 minutes. Had a really nice cutback ball to Christian Odon to potentially equalize, but he missed. But I thought he was fairly active. I think he needs to be starting moving forward. But you could still see there's some limitations in Cade Cowell's game holding him back. Georgi Mihailovic came in. He was fine. Didn't do anything great, nothing bad. A few nice touches, but I want to see him starting in that 10 role moving forward. Christian Odon came in for the last 25 minutes, and he was fine. He just kind of moved around a bunch of positions, ran a lot, worked hard. Wasn't great on the ball. I don't think he should be touching the field much for the rest of the tournament, but he did okay in this game, I guess. And Brandon Vasquez came in for the last 10 minutes or so, and he scored the goal, ended up changing the game. So good for him. I'm still kind of in the air. I think Vasquez and Ferreira should be the starter moving forward. But I thought Vasquez was fine. A big press in the box, had a nice finish for the goal. So we'll see how the striker position plays out for the rest of the tournament. But the subs did their job. I thought they're all pretty lively in this game at least. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think coming into this game, we knew this team was pretty limited in a lot of ways. This was a pretty talented Jamaica team, but I thought for the most part, we controlled the run of the play. We created the better chance. So I think in an alternate universe, we win the game, but that's not how soccer goes. I like what I saw from Jayden Neal, Jesus Ferreira, and Matt Turner in this game. This Gold Cup is still in reach, in my opinion. We just got to top the group on goal differential. So we have St. Kitts on Wednesday in St. Louis. We'll see if we rotate our lineup for that game, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Make sure those comments down below. Tell me what you thought of this game, what you liked, what you didn't like. Again, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. But I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching.